Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League, discussing roster moves, weekly matchups, and everyone's brackets who are now in the trash.
Yeah, it was the week of either the upset or the near upset, but nothing kind of shook out, I think, in the way that it was expected to.
Yeah, honestly, I don't want to say the only thing I called because there were a number of 3-0 matches in APAC that I called, but in terms of the NA matches, I called Gladiators beating Shock, and I think everything else was just like, what the fuck happened?
hmm
Yeah, I'm Katie. I'm the support main.
I'm CJ, I'm the tank main.
And let's get right into this because right off the bat, things are bug nuts. So let's talk about the week 11 results. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
let's get right into this then, huh? So first off, we have the again song Tale as Old as Time. Song is old. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, British and the French, London Spitfire versus the Paris Eternal, with the Paris Eternal claiming a 3-1 victory.
Even,
Next, oh
well,
yeah,
we'll
go,
talk
go.
about London when we get to the next one, but even in this match, we were seeing the difference.
Yeah. Next, we had the LA Gladiators against the San Francisco Shock, and LA Gladiators pick up the 3-2 victory over the reigning champs.
The fucking custody cup, man. Oh my
Yeah,
God. This was insane. I'm going to go ahead and say pick up the phone. I called it because I did, which,
yeah.
like I said, about the only thing I called this week. Aside from a few easy clap 3-0 matches in APAC, which is to say the Valiant matches, uh, this was one of the few things that I called correctly.
Yeah, and Gladiators continue to really hit their stride. Like Shock still don't really have their feet under them. Like they're missing that clutch factor. They don't look as comfortable. Like they're finding solutions, but like right now the improvements just don't seem to be enough to sort of get them across the line.
And I mean, this particular match, these two teams in general, in this particular match, you saw the video they made, right?
Oh yeah.
There was a hype video made that was essentially the two teams trash talking. And I want to know who wrote for each team because those were hilarious. But I kind of died a little bit at Moth going, no ons, no win. And then it cutting to ons saying, oh, thank you. Like, they recorded that a week before the match. There's no way they could have known. But
Actually,
also,
they could have, because as my research has revealed, which I would have known if I fucking followed Valorant at all, Ons was playing Valorant for T1, which was in LA. So he was pretty much already fucking here.
well, true, but I believe it was John Spector tweeted out that he was watching the Glads one being filmed and had to keep a straight face because he already knew that Ons would be back, but no one else did.
Oh yeah. No, I'm saying
So that,
like
yeah,
yeah, they didn't know, but
yeah, no, horse's mouth that they didn't know.
yeah.
So, of course, Moth showing up in the map 5 with a 3-man boop, like, yeah, he's got the most to lose after this trash talk vid, having
Mhm.
specifically said no ons, no win. And I'm like, yeah, if you don't win, you're never living that down.
Pretty much.
Also, that vid is well worth looking up. Like, I thought that was hysterical. Who do I have to fear? Big Goose? No, he retired. Oh, shit. Like, just bless.
Yeah,
Bless.
yeah, and
This was
that's
nuts.
yeah, and that's again, like they said, the return of Apex style trash talk. Keep giving me more of that. It
Yeah.
adds that extra bit of spice and fun to the game.
And again, I want to know if the players wrote their own, if someone else wrote specifically for the teams. Like, some of them sounded like they wrote their own, and some of them sounded like somebody else scripted this,
Yeah,
but it was good.
yeah, and it was just good. Like I've missed having this.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, it would be the two remaining California teams going at it. Of course.
Yeah,
It's only a matter of time until we get actually it's probably going to be 2 weeks from now, I think is when this match is. It's only a matter of time until we get the Houston Dallas trash talk video.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen, and I am beyond ready for it.
Just the I for one am here for it. Just that gif of, I don't know if it's Jason Momoa or someone else walking behind someone looking super excited and then flipping out a lawn chair with one
Yeah,
hand.
yeah, no, that's
That.
Momoa. That's Momoa.
Yeah, I'm imagining you doing that at the thought of the Houston Dallas trash talk video.
Oh yeah, no, I'm my body is ready.
All right. I don't think any of us were ready for this match, but it
No,
was incredible.
it was a
So many ridiculous plays.
it was a really really good one. A match. Speaking of people who were ready for this, though, for this weekend as a whole, the Hangzhou Spark up against the LA Valiant. Hangzhou had all the prep they needed to beat the Valiant and did so 3-0.
This
Surprise,
match, yeah.
surprise.
Watching Watch Point the next day when they were talking about the APAC matches, this is the match where Soe called Valiant's play unacceptable. And I'm just like, God damn. Wow. I'm
Yeah,
allowed to be salty about my ex because I'm a fan, but holy shit.
I don't think there's another way to put it. Like, we've talked about them making little improvements, but it is so far too little and not nearly quick enough. Like, obviously, any improvement is good, but the thing is, the other teams in the league are not just sitting idle. They are improving as well. The Valiant are not getting better and or not getting better fast enough, and I think a lot of them know it and are kind of giving up. Like, they weren't playing like their hearts were in it.
And I mean, we talked about, and again, giant shaker of salt with this when we covered this. We talked about the rumor, the possibility that they might be underpaid because Chinese labor laws are a little hinky sometimes, and there's, all
Yeah,
sorts of fun stuff going on. So, again, none of that is confirmed, but can confirm when a job is not paying you well, you don't really like doing your job.
yeah, that is absolutely true. Like, I've fucking been there. Um,
We're in LA, we all have. Ugh.
yeah,
Continuing on.
yeah. Pressing onwards, we have. Oh, hang on. There was one other thing I wanted to point out in regards to the Valiant because there were some updated rumors, which kind of
Oh.
ties into the state of things right now. And it's from the same guy who's been sort of a credible source in the past. Apparently, having some screenshots from a chat between Milanron and No Hill that Milanron is kind of wanting to sort of transition towards coaching. He is kind of dissatisfied with where the team is at. It's kind of embarrassing and torturous. We don't feel like a team. Um, so let me just exactly what Molanron said as close as the translation will get. Actually, we suck. That's it. It's quite embarrassing and torturing. We don't feel like a team nor have any honor. Well, when I initially joined the Overwatch League, I thought that I'm here because of pure luck. There's no way back. The only option I have is to play nice and well. However, today I'm stuck in the middle. I want to have both teamwork and show myself, and neither went well. No hell. Valiant lost. Molanran didn't lose. Over. Molanran, really, bro? It's okay. I'll be able to adjust my mentality tomorrow. First win tomorrow. I'm sure I can play better tomorrow than I did today. Um, and then it kind of goes into No Hill saying that I think it's great if you're switching to coaching in the future. And Molanran says, I think I prefer to be a player. And in the second half of the match against New York, apparently Hybe, Shochung, and Silver 3 were in such a bad mood that they almost kind of gave up. And Molanran was kind of the only person still trying to rally everyone to get into it. And it's, not clear how well that worked.
Ugh. And that's so hard. I mean, we were talking about this with Atlanta's final match in the June Joust and how you could just tell they were exhausted and they were not in it. The
Yeah.
whole team being that, because, and not just for having a bad day, but having a bad season. Like, yikes.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say about that.
And
It's
again, I'd sit here and I make jokes about Valiant being my ex and yada, yada, yada. No ire towards the players or the coaching staff. They are just as hecked up by all of this as everyone else. All of the ire towards the organization themselves, but the players are doing their best.
pretty much like this is a position they don't want to be in. Moving on, the Guangzhou Charge take on the NYXL, and the blue team wins, the light blue team to be specific, as Guangzhou goes up 3-2. Although I'm
Yeah,
skipping over one, which we'll double back and
yeah,
get.
really.
But yeah, which I mean, Guangzhou and NYXL kind of went the way that I was expecting. We'll see how Charge continues to change with the new addition to their coaching staff. But the other APAC match on the day was the Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters, with the Seoul Dynasty picking up the 3-1 win as Chengdu continues to be difficult to predict in any capacity.
Yeah, I think I called Chengdu for this one. I
Hmm.
legitimately don't remember. Either way, I think I called this being a 3-2, and it was not.
Hmm.
All of the map fives were not where I thought they would be, with the exception of Gladiators and
Yeah.
Shock. Speaking of map fives, not where I thought they would be, and I think I put this, I definitely put this score backwards. I don't know how I did that. Uh, London Spitfire versus San Francisco Shock. San
Yeah.
Francisco barely pulling that back in a map five.
It this was the moment where I'm just like, oh my god, the mighty have fallen. And like London definitely did look improved, but even on their worst day in the past 2 years, the Shock would have steamrolled this iteration of London.
Yeah, and I think part of it is I don't know how well situated Ons is back in the game, and of course, losing Striker is a hard blow. But also, I want to talk about London here
Yeah.
because they brought up Sparker from their contenders team.
Well, he's been on the roster, it's just he was underage until now.
True. This is his first week playing, and all of a sudden, it's night and fucking day with this team.
Yeah, like sometimes having one other person can really change the dynamic a lot from either like having from having the added firepower, from having a certain dynamic with someone, to having a team style that just synergizes well with the team, or just coaching. There's some or their ability to sort of call and be active in the communication structure. There's a lot of different things that can make a huge impact on how a team plays from changing out a single piece. And I think we have a couple different things that are kind of taking effect for this London Spitfire roster to get roster at once. You have Sparker coming in, which I think is an improvement. You have Fisher getting moved up to that head coaching spot after Reprise retires, and then they also recently picked up Spilo as their assistant coach. And Spilo is a guy who has been part of the contender scene for a really long time, and is a dude who's had a lot of strategic insight, and I've learned a lot through the stuff that he's written about the game. So obviously, like, it's hard to say, what contributes to what, but this was an improved London that we're seeing.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see where they go from here because this is not the world's easiest schedule for them this week, and I believe next week or week
Whoa.
after, not
Well,
sure.
London has never had an easy schedule, really.
Yeah, well, eventually London is going to play Vancouver and it'll be fine. But it's a terrible thing to say, but just search your feelings, etc., etc.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that you're wrong.
Yeah, but for that, and neither of these were wins, but they showed up in a huge way. I was not expecting them to even start to take a map off of Paris.
Yeah.
And the fact that they pushed San Francisco to round 3 of map 5 is insane.
Yeah, and it's insane on both ends. It shows
Oh,
improvement
yeah.
from London because they have looked a little better as they like having the ability to play to their strengths, and we'll see if they continue that moment of improvement or if this is kind of just the level they're at right now. But the Shock are not going to have an easier time next week. They're up against Paris and Houston, both teams that we would rate much higher than the London Spitfire right now. Paris being a little closer, but unless the Shock can really sort of change things, they stand a real chance of going 1-3 in the summer showdown tournament cycle, which is not something that I think we would have ever expected to see with the strength of schedule that they have. There's only one
No.
team here that we would have expected to give them trouble going into this.
See, I would argue too, Gladiators and Houston.
True, true. Like
Because
I,
things that I will forever remember: Houston in week one showing up and taking it to a map six.
And that's true, but they definitely Houston hasn't looked at that same level. But I do feel like this metagame plays to their strengths more than the previous.
Yeah. And again, I think having no hero pools now, taking what we've learned, and also the adjustments, not getting the Moira Coalescence in 35 seconds flat for one,
Mhm.
I think that has really upended a lot of what we would otherwise expect.
I agree with that. Yeah,
So yeah, and we're getting Bugnuts Tracer play. We saw a lot of it in APAC and a good amount of it in NA as well. We have Sombra back and the strategy of when the hell do you use this EMP and how many people can you catch in it? And of course Rhine and Zen.
yeah,
So this is just, I don't think anyone was expecting week one of the Summer Showdown to be anything like this. Like,
yeah,
we had a couple of gimme matches that weren't surprising, like anything versus Vancouver. Let's be real, Vancouver was not going to come out on top, and anyone versus the Valiant. There were some things that were pretty straightforward, but my God, the sheer amount of map fives that we had five matches go to a
five.
map five.
That sorry, the
Gladiator.
incredulous five is a joke for like two people that might be listening, and I hope they get
Hi, we love you.
it.
I was like,
Five?
yes, you're looking at the same schedule I am.
Yeah,
What? Huh?
it,
What?
it's a wrestling thing.
I was going to say, dear listener, I am not one of those two people.
It's a
Uh,
wrestling thing from like 2013 that like the guy who did it still occasionally gets jokes about.
okay. So, yeah, this was, man, I think this more than anything else was the point where we went, oh my God, literally anything could happen. I
And
think this is what drove it home.
yeah, agreed. And if it didn't, then the next match, was another thing that kind of drove that theme forward because Florida Mayhem and Toronto Defiant both, 500 rated teams, but I think going into this, the Florida Mayhem were the odds-on favorite. However, it is the Toronto Defiant that claw out the 3-2 victory.
Yeah, can we take a minute and talk about Aspire?
This
Can we
kid
take a
fucks.
minute? Oh my actual god. I don't want to keep saying like, "Oh, this one person," but my roommate made the Michael Jordan comparison and she continues to be correct about this. I
Mhm.
it's my god, what a difference.
Yeah,
There's
no,
no
he's insane.
way there's no way they're not keeping him after this.
Yeah, they said they're extending his contract through the tournament cycle. If you don't sign him at this point, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that there's nothing in his contract that would prevent them from signing him. I don't feel like there would be, but we don't get to see the contracts, obviously.
Yeah, of course, and like obviously anything is speculation, but with the way he's been performing and the difference he's made in your team, just do what you gotta do.
It was like Decay on Washington Justice at the end of last season. Like,
Yes.
yeah, he's on a provisional 1-month contract. Nah, you're keeping him. You're
Mhm.
fucking keeping him. You'd have to be insane not to. And Aspire coming up from contenders on like a 1-month contract because Logix has COVID and we haven't heard anything about that, and I hope he's doing well.
I do too.
I'm also kind of at this point assuming that no news is good news, or at least better news than it could be, you know?
That's how I'm choosing to look at it as well, yeah.
Yeah. But still, we Aspire has made such an insane difference in this team. There's no way they're letting him go after this. Because and there's no way he's going back down to contenders, because even if Toronto doesn't pick him up, other teams looking at how he's playing are going to go, "Oh, they don't want him. Dibs."
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is one of those things that needs to happen. He's too good to just let him go into the ether.
And player of the match both times this weekend.
Yes,
Back to
and
back.
deservedly so.
Oh my god, yes. So yeah,
Move
3-2 over the Florida Mayhem, which I did not see coming in any capacity.
No, I thought this was going to be competitive because I do think the Toronto Defiant is a team with a lot of upside, but good on them making it happen. But it also continues to cast doubt on a Florida Mayhem roster that we would expect great things from, considering the players on the team and the pedigree of the coaching.
Yeah, and how far they got in the May Melee. Florida
Yeah,
hasn't really had any big roster changes since then.
it's meta changes and it's confidence. They're an inconsistent team, and that's one of the things like that plagued them previously. And the other thing is, like, if you look at the individual players on this team, right? You've got Checkmate, who's new, but whatever. But you've got a team that had been kind of up and down and performed well, but never really was able to bring it home. And then you add in a player like OG, who, don't get it twisted, I fucking love OG. I think he's great. He's an awesome personality and ridiculously talented, but he is a streaky player. He is a guy that's had a lot of up and down uh, in terms of his mentality and everything. And I think Kookie's some like basically what I think Kookie's got to do to really make this team turn the corner is to help them develop that level of consistent confidence, because it's like they sort of talked about after the May Melee. They have the talent they need, and they have, I think, a lot of the knowledge and individual skill. It's just a matter of being able to play confidently, aggressively, and quickly. Like the fundamentals are there. They just need those other factors to line up to really make the most of the potential that they have.
Yeah. It, it's always really tough when you sit here and go, which team is going to play today? Which Florida are we getting today?
Yeah,
See,
and
it's some season 1 Valiant nonsense, you know? Like
yeah,
which team are we getting today?
yeah, and like I don't think they ever really look bad, but it's either they're
No.
playing surgically clean, well, not surgically clean, but they're playing clean and confident. But on top of that, but
They're C9ing and causing errors that cause them to lose maps.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I remember the May Melee. Oh boy. Oh man. Watching a team realize they could have cinched this fucker 3 maps ago if they hadn't hecked it up. Like, how many
It's
C9s has Florida had?
a lot.
Not as many as Shanghai, but still too many.
Yes.
We're not at the
Um,
point where we're trying to figure out how to name the C9 after Florida yet.
no,
That's when you know you've made it in the worst way possible. They name the C9 after you.
pretty much. Well, the thing is, like, you do know the story of how that happened, right? Because it happened like multiple times in the same map.
You know, that doesn't surprise me, but I do know that it is named after Cloud9.
Yes.
because they fucking did it. They
Yes,
are the trope namer.
they are indeed. And that roster ended up all over the place in
Yeah.
terms of by the time the Overwatch League rolled around. But we're not here to talk about that history. We are here to talk about much more recent history, including our next match, the Vancouver Titans versus the Boston Uprising. And Boston rose up claiming a 3-1 victory.
I am so fucking disappointed because this was the one that I thought for sure was going to go to a map 5 and then we'd get breadsticks. And not only did it not go to a map 5, but Pizza Hut Canada is like, what if instead of map 5 or boop someone, we made a whole ass bingo card?
Which, you know what? I wish they had started with that.
Yeah, I think if they'd started with the bingo card, it wouldn't have been so fucking egregious. And
Honestly, I
also,
just found
we
it
might
funny.
have gotten it.
I just found it funny.
Yeah. Well, so far the bingo card is 9 spaces. So top to bottom, left to right, we have Lucio Boop, Map 5, Diva Remake Kill, Pulse Bomb Double Kill. It says Elim on the card, but I like kill. Uh, but I like kill. All right. I'm sure my neighbors are terrified. Free Space, Echo Triple Winston Reinhardt, McCree Deadeye Triple Kill, 3 Linkser critical hits, and 3 Reinhardt pin kills. So, yeah, I don't know how many of these we had for this match. I know for the next match we had the 3 Linkser critical hits, but then we would have had to have get a map 5 for that one, and that did not happen against Toronto. So, yeah, I feel like I would have liked this bingo card better if, yeah, you're right, if we'd started with it.
Yeah, and it really does just feel like them kind of inching the goalposts closer every couple weeks.
Pizza Hut out here, like, we are trying so fucking hard to give breadsticks away. I didn't think we'd be into week 11 with still no breadsticks. And at this point, this is also all the casters talk about too. And at some point, probably at the end of this, we need to talk about the NA caster situation this weekend. But we'll
Yes.
talk about that going into news, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we'll get into that.
this is the thing. This is the meme. The players want to win the games, obviously, and the rest of us really just want breadsticks to happen.
Pretty much. That's that that is the investment that we have right now. We are here for the breadsticks, and I'm sorry to say that because I like a lot of the guys on the Vancouver Titans, even though I can never bring myself to root for the Vancouver Titans as an organization again. I think
Fair.
Rolf was a guy who I was sad didn't make it into the league initially. Linkser is, one of my boys and a super nice dude in real life. Um, l- like they're good people, and Chong Shik is an OG. I'm happy to see him, fried wiener with his fucking epic dad stash. Like
His mustache is nuts.
it's great. I fucking love it. But yeah, I keep bringing it up how demoralizing it has to be like to be basically remarkable for being a breadstick delivery system. Um,
Yeah, a breadstick delivery system that has yet to successfully deliver breadsticks.
a poorly designed breadstick delivery system.
Yeah. Just
A functionally dubious breadstick delivery system.
Schrodinger's breadsticks. They might exist. You don't fucking know.
No, it's a matter of they do exist. The breadsticks are confirmed to be a real thing. If you want, you can go and pay money for them. However, th- these are like the this is like the fucking this is like taken on a mythological importance at this point.
I'm going to stand behind Schrodinger's breadsticks because the free breadsticks both do and do not exist at the beginning of each Titans match, and then we have to observe the match in order to figure it out.
It's true. It's true. And like
I'm going to
this
stand
is
behind this
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you
So
gotta feel for the Titans, and again, just because the organization did fucky things doesn't mean that we don't stand behind the players or coaches. We do, and they're having a rough time of it, and Boston looked good.
yeah, they did.
Vancouver was still in this, though.
Hmm. Yeah, no, like I've said, I don't think that they're completely hopeless. Uh,
Just mostly.
just, mostly. Moving over to APAC, we have the Hangzhou Spark taking on the Seoul Dynasty, and Seoul picks up the 3-0 victory. And the chain of three Overwatch continues with Chengdu doing as Chengdu and claiming a 3-0 victory over Guangzhou.
I thought that would be so much closer than it was.
Again, these are teams that are kind of unpredictable. Sometimes Guangzhou looks solid and has some really great performances. Sometimes they just kind of roll over. Chengdu is and always has been a roll of the dice. You don't know which iteration of the team is going to show up, regardless of who's on the team or who's coaching it. It's just how they work.
Well, and I listened to the VOD for both of Chengdu. God damn, if I could get a sentence out today, life would be great. I listened to the VOD for both of Guangzhou's matches today, and Kariv just basically spent the weekend getting his shit wrecked. They
Yeah,
went after him. And at one point, he got separated by a Maywall. Choi did him dirty. So there's, man, he did not have a well performing week, but that's because he kept getting stuffed by both teams consistently. It was rough, man.
yeah, and the it's one of those things like targeting the flex support is always something you're gonna go for because you just should, but it's always like when it is that easy for it to happen, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, this was a level of stop, stop, he's already dead that I was not used to seeing in conjunction with Kariv.
Yeah, and admittedly we haven't seen as much out of him this time around as we have in previous seasons, but still, like you expect better from the guy.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
again,
also
we're
you
the
expect
charge
better from
is
the team with him.
yeah, the charge is still figuring itself out. And I mean, you expect better from the team with him. He was on Toronto last year, and Toronto was, you know, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that poor Kariv finishing up the 3 Overwatch from Saturday night. New York wiping out the Valiant 3-0. Shrug. Very short
Ain't nothing
match.
really to say about that, but we've got a lot to talk about as we get back over to NA because the first match is the LA Gladiators versus the Paris Eternal, and the Paris Eternal win.
This is only the second reverse sweep we've had this season.
Yes.
And I'm so fucking mad.
And it's crazy too because the
Ugh.
Gladiators looked so much stronger in the first half than Paris, and then the momentum just shifted.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not to say that Paris isn't good. Paris is good, but
And they're proving that every time.
generally speaking, usually the gladiators are better. They
Yeah.
weren't yesterday or Sunday. I don't know what day it is. It's almost July and I'm out here going, it's still February, right? So, yeah. This
Yeah.
was this was one I watched live and this was so disappointing.
Hmm. Yeah, and I I really do think like the Gladiators. It seems like their consistent problem has just been like they have really good pieces. They just can't bring them together in a way that gets all cylinders firing at once. Like basically, they've got an incredibly talented team, and they have a really sort of professional atmosphere and all that. But in a fight, a professional atmosphere is only going to take you so far. It's like it's the intangibles that sort of drag you over that line. You need to be able to be in sync with your teammates and just pull the trigger and go and have the confidence to do that. And I feel like, the gladiators, like, it has been sort of a consistent theme for them since season one, of like not really clicking until a certain piece is in there. uh Even going to season one, bringing in Fisher and all that.
Yeah. This is just. And yeah, they've been doing this consistently since season one. When they're on, they're on. And when they're not, they're really not.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
really it's on the coaching staff and the management to sort of help instill that culture, both from, picking up players that have, a fundamental compatibility, and then also just encouraging them to do that and making that happen in you, that sort of leadership capacity.
yeah.
And I'm starting to wonder, like, if the gladiators as they exist can do that, because it's been Decay in charge the entire time. And this has been kind of how it goes.
You're not the first person I've seen question Deepay in charge
Oh no, like
by this point. Yeah.
I've gone through like cycles of being like, might be time for a change. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad coach or a bad manager, but the thing is, like, clearly there is something missing right now.
Yeah, he's not bad, but that doesn't mean that this is working. Like, if
Exactly.
everything was working as planned for Gladiators, for Florida, for, say, Guangzhou, were things working as planned, these would all be championship contender teams.
Yeah.
Like, that's the goal. And so when things aren't working, you need to figure out where the problem is and fix it. And Gladiators have had fairly consistent performance across 4 seasons. And the only other fairly consistent thing Gladiators have had across 4 seasons is Deepay.
Pretty much. And
So
like,
who knows? I'm not a
yeah.
coach. I don't pretend to understand the deep the
Like,
deep workings of the game.
I have the changes that I would make in that position, like, in my head, but obviously I am working with a very incomplete picture of things. But
Yeah.
moving on to our next match, Boston Uprising versus Florida Mayhem. Boston 3-0.
Yeah, and I just went back and opened the tab and made sure I did not type that score incorrectly, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. What the fuck was this weekend, man?
It really
What,
was just
did we just spend a weekend in the Twilight Zone?
I guess, but the thing is, I guess even in the Twilight Zone, Vancouver still comes out behind, because our next match was the Toronto Defiant versus the Vancouver Titans, and Toronto picks up that 3-0 win.
Yeah, and no breadsticks. Bingo card says no.
Denied once
Denied.
again.
I mean, the battle for Canada, we were not surprised by this
Not at all.
outcome. We'd been expecting Defiant regardless, even before we realized that Aspire was going to roll out with Kick Ass turned up to 11. Uh, man, there was not a singular fuck given by Aspire this week, and it was beautiful. And by not a singular fuck given, I mean he performed extremely well.
Yeah,
Obviously,
no.
there was many a fuck invested.
Yeah, many fucking vested, and many screamed in panic as he closed in for the kill, I'm sure.
Yep.
But yeah, that's that's how it be sometimes. Sometimes you're in there with Aspire, and there's really not much to do except cry.
Yeah, I'm not stuck in there with you. You're stuck in there with me. Like,
Yep.
okay. All
How
right. Okay.
But for the Vancouver Titans, not everything is hopeless. Not everything is bad, because if we want to move over to the news now, we do have a little bit of Vancouver news. It's fun.
Sure, and then we'll talk about the casters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh Linkser wins the Vancouver Titans pizza contest.
What's the Vancouver Titans pizza contest?
So basically, they had what they termed as a pie crafting showdown, where the starting six would all make a pizza to suit their specific tastes, and then people could vote on them, and then one of them would be available through Pizza Hut.
Right. I do remember seeing something about this. There was some weird shit.
Honestly, it was more mundane than I would have expected, but you know what? Let's go through the lineup. The Vancouver Titans pizza starting six. The
The over
Dalton.
the Dalton.
Thin crust with tomato sauce, pepperoni, green pepper, hot pepper, and parmesan.
All right.
Pretty standard. Pretty
Yeah.
standard stuff. Nothing crazy to it. Nothing egregious about it.
He
Safe.
just wants it to kick you in the face a little bit, that's all.
Yeah, and you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with that. I can enjoy some
Yeah,
pepperoncino on a pizza.
fair.
So after that, I'm scrolling through the video because the actual page with the voting options is no longer a thing that exists. Um, but the Linkser pizza that follows was, I believe, again a thin crust. Uh, it's just taking me a while to get to it exactly because I'm scrolling through YouTube, as you do.
Yep, and
Um,
I'm gonna see if I can just find the thing.
yeah, but the Linkser. Okay, there we go. Thin crust with tomato sauce, pepperoni, Italian sausage, black olive, and roasted garlic. Which again, I can fuck with that.
All
I don't
right.
have I don't have a problem with that on any sort of fundamental level. The person I do have a problem with, though, Shredlock.
What did he do?
I want you to take a guess.
I think Shredlocks might have been the one that I saw that I was like, wait, no, he did pineapple, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Son of a bitch.
I know there was one that I saw that was like, what the hell are you thinking? It wasn't this one because I am a proponent of pineapple on pizza.
And you can fuck right off and take it with you.
I am a bitch with class and taste.
No, the fuck you're not. You like pineapple on pizza. You've just admitted it.
Yes, I know. I'm right.
No, the fuck you are not, and I'm getting legitimately angry. 'Cause
Okay, we're gonna need to put a pin in this one
yeah,
because this is not the pizza podcast.
no, it's not.
So Shredlock committed the presumably cardinal sin of pineapple and has been excommunicated from the Church of CJ.
Yes.
He's welcome in my weird ass cult.
But yeah, it was stuffed crust, which, you know what? I'll give him that. I'll give him that. If you're gonna get Pizza Hut, you might as well get the stuffed crust.
That is the
Like,
objectively correct choice, unless you are lactose intolerant, in which case you do you, and I'm very sorry.
in which case, I feel like the suffering is worthwhile. But stuffed crust, tomato, ham, maple bacon, and a shit ton of pineapple.
Oh my god, yes. Put this entire pizza in my fucking face. Why can't I have the Shredlock pizza?
Put it in the
Oh,
fucking dumpster where it belongs.
like I said, my face. Uh, anyway,
Anyway, up next,
I
Rolf.
would eat that. Oh my fucking god! Next time I order pizza from Pizza Hut, my roommate's gonna throw me out of the house, but it'll be worth it.
You're not
Uh,
allowed to record in my house anymore. Like, that's not a thing we're ever going to go back to doing. You're just not allowed. Uh, anyway, next up, the
wow.
Rolf. The
Wow,
Rolf.
wow, 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 wow,
Keep
wow.
going. Keep going, and I'll keep going. Anyway, The Rolf, thin crust tomato sauce with pepperoni, maple bacon, mushroom, and hot pepper.
Eh.
I think the maple bacon is kind of weird on that one, but like,
Yeah, that's what throws the profile for me.
yeah, and I mean, he is a Canadian repping a Canadian team, so like, I don't know. Um, Up next we have the Fire, which is a pan pizza
Good
with
man.
barbecue sauce.
Nope, I take it back.
Barbecue sauce, grilled chicken, red onion, hot pepper, and roasted garlic. It's just a barbecue chicken pizza.
I feel like it's a fair shake. I just don't like barbecue sauce.
I like barbecue sauce, but I also don't think it belongs on a pizza.
This is also true.
Next, we have the fried wiener, which
So it better have a fucking hot dog on it.
unfortunately it doesn't because I just don't think Pizza Hut rolls that way. Uh,
It don't. It does do sliced sausage though.
and it is and sausage is there. It is a thin crust, which again, why is only the fucking person who is the most objectively wrong the one who has the fucking sense to take advantage of the stuffed crust? Because if you're gonna get Pizza Hut, you gotta get the stuffed crust. But for fried wiener, thin crust, light tomato sauce and cheese, Italian sausage, mushroom, red onion, and black olive.
Also fair.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But
It's just a whole lot of fair.
yeah, it like nothing. There's nothing here that makes me go like, yeah, give me that. But in the end, it is Linkser who claimed the pizza prize, and his pizza is something you can actually order.
Which, one, I find hysterical, and two, I have to wonder if it was, and this is a bit cynical of me, let's be real. I have to wonder if it was because people liked that particular iteration of the pizza or because it was Linkser's.
The thing is, if it was a vote taken mostly on just I like this person, I feel like it would have been fried wiener because the community's a bunch of memers.
True. True. Eh.
Uh, so that happened. Next, let's get into the actual like Overwatch League news because first off, the Houston Outlaws have parted ways with hydration. The Overwatch League is a little bit less moist.
Yeah. And I mean, I have no idea if this is mutual or what the heck happened. It doesn't seem like he's retired.
He is not, or at least not necessarily, because he did release a twit longer, sort of explaining the at least some of it. You know, he's a man of few words, so he didn't really get into super in depth detail. Um, Basically, he says that he's not done with Overwatch. He's been looking forward to Overwatch 2, so definitely not done with it. But for competitive play, he's not sure. He's going to try to get back into it and is still going to be playing Overwatch because he, wants to start streaming more, and will ultimately see where it goes.
Fair.
But
Absolutely
he
fair.
makes a note to say also thank you everyone for your support, especially the ones who DM'd me recently, wondering why I wasn't in any of the Outlaws content for the past 2 months.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, greener pastures to you, man. Hopefully, the next team that you're on, should you continue to pursue that, you'll be able to get that starting roster because dude is a fucking talented flex DPS player. And it just so happens that right now the Outlaws don't have a lot of need of his skill set
This is true. And I mean, he
because
was about as solid a tank as you can get as a flex DPS player.
he was better than he had a right to be.
Yeah.
So that happened, and the other release that we had was Hangsho Spark releasing main tank player Takoyaki.
Which, hilariously, not a name I'm familiar with, and I feel like I should be.
He didn't really get much playtime, if any. I don't think he got any, or at least not in the matches that I've seen. Because frankly, why would you not start Gushue? Like, not to shit
Fair.
on Takoyaki because I think he's a good player, but Gushue. Um,
He was not a big enough fish in this particular pond.
that is correct, which is kind of unfortunate because he's a very talented player. He's another Element Mystic alum. He was part of the team that won the 2019 Contenders Season 1 tournament, along with Hanbin, Doha, Exy, Sparkle, Unique, and Undyne, who we'll talk about Undyne a little more in a minute. But he's a good player. He's a guy who I think could find a home on a Contenders team or on another APAC team. But we'll see where things end up for him.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah. Next up, we have, as I already mentioned, Spilo joining the London Spitfire as an assistant coach. And then the NYXL have been rumored to be looking at picking up O2 Blast's coach Undyne as a new addition to their own coaching staff. And Undyne is another one of those OGs of Overwatch. Played with MVP Infinity back in 2016, and then played consistently before becoming an analyst for the NYXL, and then either departing or being released from the team. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then winding up as coach of O2 Blast, who recently just won the first season of Contenders Korea in 2021.
So he's also got a pretty good pedigree.
Yeah, I think so.
And New York needs coaching. New
Yeah,
York needs coaching.
it's true. And there's been a whole bunch of rumored pickups that might end up happening soon, like interest in various DPS players in Contenders, and we'll see if any of them end up materializing. But that's basically all the news that we have to really get into right now, which a lot less than we usually do.
Well, we haven't talked about the casters this weekend
Yes,
because
let's
it's
get
not in the
into that.
notes. So, Bren on Saturday morning had an awful sore throat, went to urgent care. Urgent care had no idea what was wrong with it, but they essentially
Mhm.
told him to rest. And so he did. And League is very understanding when something happens with their casters, when there are health issues, and they go, hey, rest. Make sure you rest and recover, and we'll take care of it. Which
Mhm.
means that Sideshow had a wide assortment of casting partners this weekend, and it was beautiful and insane. And I'm going through Bren's Twitter, and he said something utterly beautiful, and I just need to pull it up. Aside from the oh no, don't say that Australia and New Zealand are the same thing. What are you guys doing? Oh no. Yeah. He tweeted, if there's anything this weekend taught me, it's that I'm the only thing holding back the inevitable madness that creeps behind Josh's mind.
It's true.
Fucking fair.
Yeah. And like Josh and putting Sideshow in there with Uber or Mr. X, as entertaining as it was, like they cannot rein it in. They will only enhance the madness.
I mean, to a point, it works because both Uber and Mr. X, like I don't want to sit there and be like they're consummate professionals because it implies that Sideshow isn't, and he is a professional at this. This is just his persona. Um, but they are the ones like if something goes down, if we need someone to really be able to hold the fort, that's the duo that I look at. Those are the ones where I'm like, yeah, they're the best the league has to offer. in terms of a
Mhm.
casting duo. And I stand behind that. And the reason that I stand behind that is because they haven't brought up Leg Day and Lemon yet. So,
Mhm.
when that happens, we're going to have a showdown. But for now, I trust Uber, I trust Mr. X, and as nuts as the games on Saturday got, I still think they were well casted. Sunday, they're like, what if we do Reinforce? What if we do Custa? And then some things just went completely insane. And I cannot for the life of me remember the specifics. I do remember that is he from Australia or New Zealand? I don't know. Aren't they the same thing? And just sitting here going, "Oh no. Oh, don't say that. No."
Yeah, you're gonna someone's gonna throw a beer can at your head.
But I just it was still solid casting. Don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
it was fun to see Reinforce cast and it was fun to see Custa cast, but there was very obviously no North Star for these casting duos. If you're casting and I'm casting, then who's driving the bus? Nobody. Nobody is because they took the
Mhm.
two people on the desk who generally aren't in possession of the two brain cells on the desk and they had them cast. I love these. I love them very much. This was insane. It was a
Yes.
lot of fun to watch, and also, I sincerely hope that Brent is doing better this weekend because we need him.
Agreed. And I will also say that like it was kind of fun seeing them struggle to figure out like caster duo names for Sideshow and everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very, very much a if you're X and I'm X, then who's driving the bus?
Oh
And the
god,
answer
yeah.
was no one.
Yeah.
The answer on Saturday was Uber or Mr. X, respectively. Or I guess Mr. X was Saturday. No, Uber was Saturday. Mr. X did the first match Sunday with Sideshow.
Whichever order it happened in, I'm just glad that we
Yeah.
got Sideshow and Mr. X because I can call them Mr. Show as a caster duo.
Yeah. But the
Because
second they sent in reinforce, it was very much all right, who's driving the bus? And the answer is, and it
yeah,
was
that was a
insane.
moment I'm like, oh, we're just having fun with it. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think it was sort of because for Gladiators versus Paris, you put in, yeah, you put in Mr. X to cast with Sideshow. And for what was the last one, Vancouver with Boston, like, okay, cool. It's I think Uber and Mr. X did the first two map fives on Saturday, and then the third was Sideshow and Miss and Uber. So for Sunday, for the one that's like, this one might be a little crazy, we put Mr. X in. For the two where we're like, yeah, it's going to be a 3-0, we kind of know where this is going, you put Custa and Reinforce in. And the one Reinforce casted, nobody expected that particular. Nobody expected the Boston Inquisition. Nobody expected that.
No, I really yeah, I feel confident in saying that no one expected that to go that way.
And then Toronto versus Vancouver, Custa cast it, done deal. Yeah. So just watching these caster pairs, listening to them go just completely nuts. Like there was no guidance for this. There was no navigation. There was no one driving the bus.
Hmm.
It was just bug nuts. I loved it, honestly.
It was fun. And hopefully next week is just as much fun. Shall we get into predictions?
Yeah, let's get into this.
All right. So, our first match of the coming weekend, the Paris Eternal versus the San Francisco Shock.
Oh, who even fucking knows at this point? God damn. Let me get a coin out.
Like, this is one of those things where I feel like the Paris Eternal have been on a rise and it's possible, while the San Francisco Shock have been unsteady. However, you can't count them out because they historically have been really good at figuring things out and shifting into gear. The question is, can this roster do that, or will the problems of inconsistency and the lack of confidence continue to hamper them?
Yeah, because here's the thing, Vengeance Shock has not been enough this year. It hasn't. We've had matches where it's like, yeah, this should be Vengeance Shock, and then they lose, or it's way too fucking close. So I don't think Rage is enough of a clutch factor this season to really go, oh yeah, they're going to come back real mad and they're going to take it. Like, I don't think that's the case anymore.
I yeah, the thing is this is the last time I'm gonna kind of count on it here. This is my litmus test because I think with Ons coming back in, and obviously, that was a change they had some time to practice with, but this is kind of the put up or shut up moment to keep them in that upper end of the conversation. And if they falter here, the Shock have kind of fallen out of contention. Like there's been a crack in their armor.
Whereas I straight up have a coin, heads Paris, tails San Francisco. Tails! All right, the Shock. Why the fuck not?
I Yeah, and
That's
this
that's
this is
that's as scientific as this gets right now.
this is one I could see going either way with the state of these teams, and I think how it goes is going to tell us a lot about what we're seeing for the next few weeks.
Yep.
Next
Speaking of,
up,
I need to get the
yeah,
fucking coin back out.
Washington Justice versus Atlanta Reign.
We haven't seen Washington. We haven't seen either of them in this yet. Atlanta made it all the way to semifinals essentially. And Washington, had they been fucking playing Decay the entire time, probably would have done the same.
It's true.
So I think what hinges here is one, whether Atlanta has recovered their mental from that beating they took, and two, whether Washington chooses to play Decay. Like,
Yeah.
are we going to make good decisions here? I
Yeah.
ask myself that every day, and the answer is not always yes. Uh,
I hmm.
for me, this is 100% contingent on whether or not Washington plays Decay. And it's terrible that that's the case. But for me, that's what this comes down to.
He is the biggest X factor on the team.
Yeah, are we going to start the guy who makes us win? Huh. Just, I'm sorry. After seeing the night and day, this has been the season of one player, usually a DPS, being in, making all the difference in the world. And after seeing the night and day performances during the June joust, when they did not have Decay in versus when they did, it would be pants on head stupid for them not to play Decay without good reason. And good reason being like, he's injured, he's dealing with mental health issues, there's something going down. Like, there's always a good reason not to play. And again, we support players, especially when they're taking care of their health first. We're not going to play Decay because fuck it is not a good reason. I don't understand.
Yeah. I yeah,
Let me
this
get the
is
coin back out.
if they don't play Decay, I don't know what they're doing.
So, heads, they play Decay, and it's Washington. Tails, they don't play Decay, and it's Atlanta. Well, the coin seems to think they're playing Decay, so Washington it is.
Yeah, I think that I will call it yeah, I think I'll go with Washington as well.
I'm keeping this coin out. I'm tired of putting it away. So
Yeah,
those are going to be our Friday matches.
next up, Philadelphia Fusion versus the Guangzhou Charge.
I'm glad I kept the coin out.
Yeah, because Philly,
God damn.
Philly has been a an interesting team to follow these past couple weeks.
Philly has gotten back some of their EU players. Like, they got the visa issues sorted for some of their players. I don't think all of them yet, but some.
Shockwave is there. Poco has been, being cheeky about if he's there or not.
Because he's
So
Poco.
yeah, because he's a weirdo and we love him for it.
And we've seen Guangzhou just this past week doing better, but still inconsistent.
However, the last time they met, Fusion did give them a 3-0 drubbing to snap their, at the time, 2-match losing streak.
Fair. Also, Guangzhou has a coach now.
It's true.
Just, this is what's so wild trying to do predictions. It's like, well, we're out of hero pools and things have shifted, and also, whom's the fuck knows? So once again, I take this coin out. My entire bracket this week is going to be decided by this fucking coin.
I'm
This
going Fusion on
dirty
this.
nickel. You're going for Fusion?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the logical choice, but I can't give up on Guangzhou. So heads, Fusion, tails, charge. I guess I'm going for Fusion too. And I'm leaving the coin out.
Next up, Seoul versus Shanghai.
Shanghai.
After
Don't
that,
even need the coin for that.
yeah,
I think Seoul will put up a fight, but
yeah,
Shanghai.
they've been looking decent recently.
Yeah.
So up next we have the Paris Eternal versus the Vancouver Titans back over in the West, and Paris.
Paris, obviously. The question is whether or not breadsticks. And honestly, I don't think breadsticks for this match.
I
I don't
don't.
see it happening.
I do not foresee carbohydrates. No.
No, because just looking at the way things are laid out, like, yeah, we get the 3 links or critical hits. That's the thing most likely to happen. But that's paired with a map 5 in order to get breadsticks, or a McCree Deadeye triple kill and 3 Reinhardt pin eliminations. And I just don't see it happening. Like, sorry, but no winner and no breadsticks.
You will
Not for
get
this one.
you will get bread in 0 scenarios.
Yikes. Fucking yikes. And then
Mhm.
watch this be the match where they get breadsticks because it's a miracle or something crazy happens. I don't know. Linkser plays his face off 3 maps in a row.
If they win this, I'm going to eat an entire I will eat an entire order of breadsticks and an entire fucking stuffed crust pizza myself.
Will it have pineapple on it?
There is no world in which I would A, willingly make that order, B, pay for it with my own fucking money, or C, let that fucking putrid sewer main shit anywhere near my mouth.
Do you just not like pineapple in general, or is it
No,
just
I
you
like
think?
pineapple. It doesn't belong on a pizza.
I agree to disagree. Honestly, that
No,
just
I will not agree to
silence.
disagree on this. I will fucking fight on this. I don't give a shit.
Honestly, the silence after that question was absolutely what I was going for,
Oh,
and
I
it was
know.
worth it.
I know.
And it was worth it. Continuing on, Dallas versus Florida.
Dallas.
The only question for this one is whether Pine is playing yet.
Yeah, that is the thing, because we're still waiting. I don't think we've gotten any firm update on where he is in the visa process, because this sort of situation, it always takes time. Uh but with the league being able to help, hopefully that is expedited to some extent.
Well, and I'm wondering if he can't pull a fielder and play with Ping. It's hard, but
But it's ping with the time difference. It's a lot of things, and I could understand Dallas not
yeah,
wanting to lean on it, especially when I don't think what they have is critically
lacking.
lacking. Obviously, I
Yeah.
think Pine adds something, but I don't think that they're kneecapped without him.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely Dallas. Florida has not been consistent enough. I mean, if Florida is on, I can see this being very competitive, but given that we cannot count on Florida to be on, probably Dallas. And
Uh,
then watch, Florida's going to fucking reverse sweep them because giant shrug. I don't know, man. This weekend was a thing. Now
yeah.
that I've put that curse into the world, uh
Next up is the Houston Outlaws versus the San Francisco Shock.
Outlaws.
Yeah, I'm leaning Outlaws on this, which is woof.
I
Not a
think it'll
not a thing
be
we expected to happen from, the way things started, like going into this season.
Yeah, going into this season, Danny picking the Outlaws to win was seen as the completely bug nuts, chaotic, neutral pick. And then it happened, and everyone was like, huh. Danny occasionally pulls his predictions from another dimension, and sometimes they're true. And that one was. But yeah, definitely Houston on this one because they may not have lived up to the insane powerhouse that we saw that first time, but they have remained competitive.
Yeah, and I do think having Tracer back in the mix, as well as Sombra, really does open things for Dante to be a fucking nightmare because on those
Oh,
heroes, he's so dangerous.
yeah, Dante is going to just walk in here and lose his entire mind, and now there is no striker.
Yeah,
So that's going to be a big problem for the Shock.
absolutely. So,
There, this is going to be a very difficult weekend for them. And I can't believe I'm saying that about the Shock, but season 4, here we are.
if they're going to win, they have a bunch of places where they need to level up. That's what it comes down to.
We'll see if they manage that over this past week.
Exactly. So, moving on back over to APAC, we've got the Seoul Dynasty versus the Guangzhou Charge.
So,
Yeah, I would feel pretty confident with that as well. And then we have the Philadelphia Fusion versus the Shanghai Dragons, which this is either going,
Shanghai.
yeah, I'm going for Shanghai, but this is one of those things that's either going to be super competitive or Shanghai's going to steamroll them.
Yeah, this is either going to be very competitive or just a straight up dumpster fire.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens because again, Philly is a team that I think is very, very dangerous and should not ever be counted out with how things are this season. But we'll see if they can continue to turn up because they
Yeah.
looked great in the May Melee. They struggled in the June Joust. We'll see what the Summer Showdown holds.
Well, and Philly still has that inconsistency of are they going to have their players, yes or no,
Yes, yeah,
playing with an
that
incomplete roster, and whether or not they're going to have them by any given point of time is up in the air. Whereas the Dragons, with a couple of exceptions, have mostly been consistent and consistently good. They
yeah.
are at
Once
this
they
point
got
the safer
past
bet.
yeah, once they got past those initial sort of rocky first steps.
Yeah, so the question here is not at what level Shanghai will play, but at what level Philly will play. In
Yeah,
much the same way that it's at what level Florida will play, at what level at what level Washington will not what level will Washington play. It's just straight up are they going to fucking play Decay or not?
yeah.
I'm stuck on this.
Dude, I told you that it was going to make a big
Goddamn.
difference. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, just what's insane is that they chose not to do it for so long.
I don't know why, and if they've said, I haven't seen it.
Same.
Anyway, moving back over to NA, Atlanta Rain versus Dallas Fuel in a June Joust rematch with the
Yeah,
training weights off.
the red versus blue grudge match raises its head again.
Hmm.
Almost all of those matches were red versus blue matches, which was
Yeah,
hysterical to me.
yeah,
Almost all of them.
the tournament was basically just Blood Gulch Chronicles, just straight up.
It kind of was, and I was very happy. Which, if the whole tournament is Blood Gulch, that means there's some action in there and some jokes, and a lot of it was just dumb as fuck and hard to follow. So I did love the June Joust, and I will make a red versus blue joke whenever the opportunity arises.
You, the Rooster Teeth person who's part of the Rooster team and and has covered RTX in person, fucking what?
I know, right? And there's
I
someone listening for the first time going, "What?" Which, hi, we love you. It's
so
always wild to me when someone comments and goes, "I listen to this every week," or "I discovered this and I love it." Like, hello, humans who listen to this thing that we do every week. We love you. We're
yeah,
happy you're here. Hi.
you are one of the reasons we keep doing this.
Most of the reason we keep doing this is to just kind of yell this at each other so our roommates and significant others don't have to hear about it.
Yeah.
That is how and why we started. But also, we love you guys.
Yeah.
Hi. So yeah,
So,
I'm pulling Dallas on this one. Like I can see Atlanta bringing the rage back, but Dallas is just too good.
yeah, that's where I'm at as well.
And I think Atlanta's mental is very much going to depend on how their match against Washington goes. And there's a 50-50 chance of them getting just rolled over. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a lot of we'll see, but things I usually only pull out for red versus blue. Blue team best team. So yeah, the opposite of this is the Vancouver Titans versus the Houston Outlaws, where the blue team is not the best team.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Vancouver's taken this.
And I also don't think breadsticks are going to happen.
Hmm.
I mean, they might. There's chaos. And I think this particular match has a higher chance of chaos than versus Paris. I don't know why. Maybe just cuz Dante exists. But yeah, breadsticks are possible but unlikely, but Houston's definitely going to win this one. I will be surprised if Vancouver takes a map.
Yeah, basically.
And then finally, we have no. Well, I was going to make a stoplight joke and like, no, that was Shanghai. Washington versus Florida. How well is Florida going to play? Is Washington going to play Decay? These are the questions.
Hmm.
Well, since I already seem to be on the Washington is going to play Decay train, thanks to this random ass nickel I found in my purse, I'm going to go with Washington on this one. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. But again, I don't want to vote against Florida because I really do think they have a lot of upwards potential.
Honestly, if we knew who Washington was planning to play this weekend, if we knew what their starting line was going to be, this would be much easier to call. But they
Yeah.
are a completely different team when Decay is in versus when Decay is out. And I
Hmm.
think we illustrated this very clearly in the June joust. So again, because of random chance, I'm leaning on Decay is in, which to me tips the needle towards Washington. If Decay is not in, Florida should have an easier time of this. If Decay is not in and Florida is playing inconsistently, it's not going to quite be a garbage bowl, but it's not going to be good.
Yeah, that
So we could have a very high level match, we could have a very low level match, or we could
I
have a full on steamroll. Who
well,
knows?
yeah, I don't think this is going to be. I don't think it would necessarily be a low level match. It's just like when they're not on, they're much, much, much sloppier.
Yeah, we talked about the sheer amount of C9s, and that was an unforced error, and it lost you the map, and not taking this map lost you the fucking series.
Hmm.
And this is not an unknown phenomenon for Florida, sadly. So yeah, this I think we've definitely got some gimmies this weekend. And I hate to be like, yeah, we've got some gimmies. The Titans are playing, but let's be real. It's like saying, yeah, we've got some gimmies. The Valiant are playing. It's rough. It's rough. But yeah, we have so many more matches that could go either way, depending on individual decisions, who to play, how they're playing, etc. I just this is going to be a wild weekend. A good time, but wild.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as completely batshit insane as this past weekend. I
No.
hope. I can't take much more of that. But
Yeah.
at least one map 5. You know? At least one.
Yeah, and I'll be excited to see where we get that because I think there's a few candidates.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully Bren has recovered. so we can have more mythology lessons, I guess. But yeah, uh, let's do the traditional Reddit check to see if anyone has pulled the rug out from under us while we were in the process of recording. For those of you who are new, if there are any new people, hello. This podcast is slightly cursed in that either things happen while we're recording or things happen the day after we record.
Yeah. There's not really much except for like people talking about the thing on Space's stream of like there was a whole thing like where Space is trying to do this like Sigma jump with the accretion, and it just became a whole thing, and a whole bunch of other players came in to try and do it.
I heard about that.
Yeah, with some fun nonsense.
Yeah, it's a good time. I'm subscribed to the Gladiators YouTube channel and Shock and Outlaws and Overwatch League and Contenders. And you
Hmm.
know what? Sometimes they just roll something out that's so completely insane. You just got to sit there and smile.
Hmm.
It's good shit. It's good stuff. All right. Well, if that is all the news that's fit to not print, then I think we've just about got this. CJ,
Yeah.
where can the people find you?
At the underscore rage underscore nerd on Twitter.
I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I am also on another podcast called Rooster Team Radio. We talk about all things Rooster Teeth, mostly animation. We have been on a bit of a hiatus because a lot of the animation has been on a bit of a hiatus, Neon Combini notwithstanding. But RTX at Home is coming up, and odds are very good that we're going to cover that one. So stay tuned for that. You can follow us on, I almost said you can follow us on the podcast. Woo! You can follow us on Twitter at On The Point Pod. And as always, we end with the important things. Please get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated. Also, wear a mask. We currently have the Delta variant running around, and the World Health Organization has come out and said, hey, even if you're fully vaccinated, you should still be wearing a mask indoors because of the Delta variant. So, roll those masks back out. All those super cute masks that you bought, yeah, keep wearing those. Wear a mask, get vaccinated, support the post office, support your essential workers. They have been working through all of this. They deserve your kindness, your compassion, and your support. Stand up for them if someone is being an asshole. Just be good. Be good to them. Black Lives Matter. Black Trans Lives Matter. Black LGBTQIA Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. AAPI Lives Matter. Happy fucking Pride, y'all. LGBTQIA Lives Matter. The A does not stand for ally. Yes. Vote in your local elections when you are eligible to do so. Do your research. Vote. Contact your representatives. They need to know what you want in order to represent you accurately. So make sure they're doing their damn jobs. Yes. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask. Take care of each other because that is the only way that we're going to get through this. And remember that we love you. Anything else?
Can't think of anything.
Alrighty, let's C9.